alive. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hold on, I'm turning the chat on. Jesus, priest.
Yeah,
How do I
well.
see it?
So far,
How do we
so
see the
good.
chat?
Hello, Doug.
Doug, what's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. Just a couple of house cleaning notes.
Hey, Lynn.
Next week we are going to be dark for an episode. However, we are going to do a live chat with Steve Hodel at our regular time here at 6 p.m. So that will be next Friday. No new episode next Friday. New episode tonight coming up at 6 o'clock. Hello, Tennessee. Woohoo!
Yeah, we
Miss
need
DJ.
a freaking week off.
And hello, Minnesota. Wow.
We all tired.
I'm very tired.
Yeah.
I hope you guys had a great Christmas. Everybody have a good Christmas.
It was awesome.
Some other notes that you guys should know for tonight's episode. I had a snafu uploading. For some reason, YouTube won't take subtitles. Hey, Valerie. Nice. Mama's in the house.
Oh, hi, Mom.
Neela. It wouldn't take subtitles. So we have a section towards the end of the episode where Dr. Malusinek, medical examiner, is talking to Karen, and she's very hard to understand. I'm going to apologize right now. 88 Psychic, hello.
Hi, buddy.
I want to apologize now because the subtitles did not make it into the episode tonight.
We'll get them there.
Try and upload a new episode tomorrow because I had to render it in ProRes. And for all of you content creators out there, you know how long that takes and how huge of a file it is. Happy holidays, Jennifer.
Bottom line, if you guys, Dr. Darinka Malusnik is a colleague of mine. I've known her, my God, 11 years, and she's wonderful. She is an expert medical examiner. She's fantastic. And she helped a lot with some of our stuff, but she does have a pretty strong accent. So you can understand everything that she's saying, but she does speak very fast. We will get the subtitles up for you guys, but you will get the gist. You'll get the understanding of exactly what we're talking about. It's just
happy holidays, Liz.
Matter of we'll get it done. Just bear with us tonight. That's all.
So those are all the notes. Last week's episode, what'd you guys think of it? It was a doozy as far as
I thought it was good.
Joe, I thought it was good.
I thought it was good too.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
It was good.
I believe that EVP.
Is it the one of you up in the ballroom?
Yeah. I was like,
I know.
whoa.
We had quite a few of those. We had them down with Marina and Joe down in the basement when they were doing the dowsing rods. We had a couple of them. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks, Charlene.
Thanks, guys.
So we had some, and they weren't really, I guess they call them disembodied voices would be the more technical term, because they weren't from the recorders themselves. It was just picking up voices on its own. So that was pretty crazy. The door slamming was crazy. The scream.
Yeah, you're telling me.
The
door slamming was nuts.
I tried so hard to debunk that scream. I really did. I went from camera to camera because we had all the static cameras up there. And I had initially thought it was us opening this old squeaky door that led under the house. But when I looked back on it, that it just wasn't it, because everybody picked it up in all different parts of the house. It just resonated through the whole thing. Thank you, Lynn.
Oh, thanks, Audrey. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jeremy.
And then Joe, you want to talk about the door slamming on you?
Yeah, the door slamming thing. Well, first let me say that I didn't even know about the scream until I saw this episode.
No, me either.
When I tell you, we didn't hear that in the basement.
Nope.
We didn't hear it at all, which
Kelvin
is crazy.
And I'm sure, and Stephanie heard it. Me and Joe were standing right there. I didn't hear a damn thing.
I didn't hear anything. And if it was the screen door that loud, we would have heard it and probably been like, what the hell was that? I didn't hear anything.
That
was crazy. But the doors.
What the fuck was that? And I went, the fuck was what? I didn't hear anything. I didn't know what the hell was talking about. I thought that, I don't know. He's like, I'm looking at his feet. I thought something happened. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, it was wild. So the door slamming was like kind of comical. Like watching it back because so I did my walkthrough. I think I was there maybe second that day. I forget, or maybe I was the last one to walk
No,
through. I
you
don't
were
remember.
first. You
Oh, I
were
was
first.
first.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess I
Hello,
was first.
Vet.
So after it, whoever was walking through at that time, or maybe we just had like a break. Sometimes I like to run around by myself without the cameras just to like have a private moment in the energy and like sort of feel. Maybe I'll get like a little extra. So that's what I was attempting to do. And as I was leaving, literally every door slammed, and I was like, I guess this could be the wind, but like, I don't know. Everything slammed on me. It was really weird that the one camera that I was standing in front of, the one static cam, that door didn't slam, but every other one did. Like, it really like caught me. So I was like, this feels.
I'm gonna put science on your ass, Joe, because I went and looked. And doors, if it was the wind, here's the weird thing. They close in opposite directions. So if one on this side of the house slams shut, the one on the other side should have
be
slammed
getting open.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know that.
Here's another thing: the static cameras inside the bedrooms, those windows were open, but none of them moved with it.
No.
And also, if you guys look really carefully in Debbie Pearlson's bedroom, which is the one directly all the way down the hall from the master bedroom, you could literally see it when you're looking through the bedroom.
Yeah.
It had these doors, these little barn doors that went to the cabinets, and they were always swinging open and closed when it was the wind, and they didn't move either. Like none of the stuff
There you go.
was moving around.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary.
Like if it was a gust, I would expect the door at the end of the hall to blow open while that one blew closed, and that's not what happened. They went opposite directions. So how the hell can that be a gust
that's
of wind?
weird.
Yeah.
That was really strange.
When you and Karen were in the master bedroom going through stuff, and that door slammed, and you see it, but what you also see is you don't see those windows moving, just that door slamming.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, if I look at it, it was almost like Harold Pearlson just being pissed off and just going, get out of my room.
Get the hell out of my house. I also don't remember it being windy that day. No, I mean, it could have been, but
it wasn't.
It was just like a normal ass
LA
like desert day. It was hot as hell.
It was bucket. It was just like oppressive. Like the heat was. It was the house was hot. There's no electricity. There's nothing in there. It's just like this dull nothingness in that house.
Civil Colorado representing. Hey, Audrey, do we ever get to find out about the bones found, animal or human? It is coming up in an episode. It took us a long time to be able to afford and find. Well, I'll let Karen handle this.
I reached out to a colleague of mine. I'm not going to tell you who. You'll find out because I'll leave that a surprise. He's been around for a long, long time. He's a genius. He's brilliant. I adore him. And he did that for us. And in exchange, I looked at a cold case for him. So we kind of did a little bit of an exchange there. And it was wonderful. And what he had to say is it's gonna be a little bit more interesting than what you think. It was a conundrum for me. So there's that.
Hello, Australia. Holy cow.
Wow, what's going on?
Wow.
What do you think about the news about the gentleman using AI claiming they solved the Black Dahlia? Are you talking about Faber that just came out with the stuff linking the two cases together? I'm glad you called bullshit on that. I'm glad you called BS on that. So do we. And hello, New Zealand, Brooklyn, Kate. Hi, guys.
I'm zipping it.
It's you're going to find out in tonight's episode why I personally think that Steve Hodel is correct. And if you're going to link these two murder cases together, then it's definitely George Hodel. Steve presents some of his most compelling evidence to show that George Hodel was indeed, the Zodiac killer. So the green stone. I personally stand by Steve Hodel and his findings. He put a blog out on it today. LAPD actually told him personally that the case was closed as far as they were concerned, and now this guy comes out. And just so you guys know, the backstory of this is that Steve was in contact with this man for a long time. So we'll talk about all that next week with the live chat with Steve Hodel next Friday night.
Hey, Javon.
Javon,
What's
hey,
going on?
Was your question about these? Your bones buried? It responded yes. Oh, really? Were the bones buried there? Yes.
Well,
when the hand
when
went
the hand
up.
went up,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So I tend to agree about that. Liz, you're from California. It is raining cats and dogs here, and we are
No
loving it.
kidding.
I'm loving it. I love it.
Let's see. Any other police reports on the house? Which house? Are you talking about the Los Feliz murder house, Audrey? From any other kinds of crimes there? Not well. We're going to be doing the links, and I think there's going to be some really interesting stuff from Los Feliz coming out in tonight's episode. Maybe crimes, maybe not. There's just not enough primary information to make a solid conclusion, but I have my opinion, and you'll hear it tonight. How about that?
Hey, Gemma, Team Casey. Just so you guys
Gemma!
know, Kelvin Cruikshank, he's still under the weather.
He got a little bug on the flight home to New Zealand. He's not feeling quite up to par, but hopefully he'll be here next week.
Yeah, because we miss him and we love him.
We love him. So feel better, Casey.
Yeah, for sure. Demon Bait, what you got going there, buddy?
So just to comment on the greenstone, it actually is working. I didn't get anything nefarious happening when we were investigating last week, which is good. So this works. The greenstone works. I also, since we're talking about me having the greenstone, there was a spot in episode 2 when Calvin is in the basement and he's talking about something trying to grab him and pull him down, which is exactly what I went through when I didn't have the greenstone. That was like the moment that inspired you guys giving me the greenstone, is the time that I got grabbed. So
why don't you tell them what the people who missed
and don't spare details because they're funny as hell.
For the people who didn't get to see your little promo, and if you didn't, you guys can go back in the channel and scroll through. Brandon tells the whole thing, but why don't you tell it for the people who are watching right now?
So I'll do the quick version of when I'm already in the basement. So this was the first time that I was working with Voices from the Grave, and this was back in 2016, 2017 when we first started. And at this point, I was just somebody taking a job, and I didn't know anything about ghost hunting or ghost stories. And so I get thrown into this new experience. And after a lot of things had happened during the course of my work there, at the very end, around like 4 or 5 in the morning, I go down to the basement with Lisa and with Katie, who's a producer on the show. We go down to the basement, and they're sort of stirring up the ghost and the spirits in there, kind of berating them for having attacked some of us. And things start to feel really strange. This is a new experience for me. And I look at Lisa, and Lisa's wearing her, what I was calling talisman at the time, wearing her greenstone. Katie had also been given a greenstone, and she was rubbing it. She was like holding on to it, and I think she was like praying under her breath. Meanwhile, I was out there basically naked with no protection, and I'm starting to feel strange. Like I'm doing this with my hands. I feel like something like touching my neck. I start doing this because I feel uncomfortable, and that's what I do when I feel uncomfortable. So if you see that on screen ever, you know that something's going on around me. And all of a sudden, Katie's like, Lisa, can we please get out of here? I can even see Brandon's feeling uncomfortable. Can we go? So Katie goes up first, Lisa goes up second, and we're in the basement of the Los Feliz murder mansion. And it's basically like it's a basement that has, the walls look like they're rotting. There's this big like dirt mound over in the back. and we're going up the stairs. And I swear that when we're going up the stairs, I hear what sounds like nails scratching on wood running up behind me. And then I feel a hand grab me by like the side of the neck and try to pull me down. I start yelling in Spanish. And I think at this point, Lisa didn't even know that I spoke Spanish, which is, one of my first languages. And I grab her. Again, this is my boss, who I barely know. I grab her by her pants down here, and I carry her up the stairs screaming. As we go through the door frame, I'm using her as a meat shield, and I'm still yelling in Spanish. She's saying, "Let go of me, let go of me." I finally let go of her, and I'm shaking. I pull out my phone, and I start looking for flights to go back home and leave LA for the rest of my life. I never want to see it again. So that's the story of the Greenstone and why I felt like I deserved one.
And that's how he became known as Demon Bait.
Demon Bait.
And Demon Bait. That's where it all started.
Ended up getting a nosebleed at the Soden House as well, the same as Karen in episode 1.
I want to ask John a question if we have a second. John, when you were at Gillis and you had your whatever meter or whatever recording device you had up in that ballroom by yourself, I mean, that took some serious balls, because that place was a little creepy. I can testify. Yeah. What did you feel when you were up there? Did you feel anything strange like Brandon was talking about?
I did feel like kind of like maybe a little scared, but not scared. I just went right into it and came right out with the question I wanted to ask, and I definitely got a response.
Yes, you did. Did
And
you feel any like cool breezes or anything like that?
No.
What you guys have to realize is
that I recall.
Yeah, it looks really bright in that ballroom, but it was pitch
dark.
black. We had, I think we had a couple IR floodlights in there, probably too bright, but it was pitch black when John was sitting in there. So a couple questions, Lynn and Natalie, you guys both asked if anything has ever followed us home from location. There was one story. After we left the Soden House, we were at the Soden House for 3 days and nights. The paranormal team was living there 24/7. The mediums and myself came home at night. But what happened was, and this is another Brandon story and a Katie story, we had some really weird activity the second night. And what happened was Katie, our producer, her husband, started texting her all day long after he had been in the Soden House. And he was texting her information like he was a medium. And he was telling her things about the house and how we had to go into the basement and Saturn and Saturn that you could see from the courtyard, and we had to follow Saturn and go to the basement. And he was just getting more and more manic. And then he found a belt buckle that was actually a Mayan belt buckle, which goes along with the Soden House itself, obviously.
Found it in his closet.
He found it in his closet, and he had no idea where it had been. He remembered it from 20 years ago. Anyways, he brought it to the Soden House when he came back that night. And I have to tell you, it's the first time where I felt like something was really off. And I've known Katie's husband for years and years and years. And he showed up.
He was off his nut.
He showed up in an Uber, and he kept saying, "I have to talk to you." And we were in the back alley of the Soden House, where it's very dark and nobody's there. And he kept trying to call me away from the house. And I said, "No, if you want to talk, you talk to me right here." He just had this manic look in his eyes. So
it was not him.
I do think
weird.
Something followed them home and attached to her husband. And then the belt buckle itself, Brandon decided that he was going to take it off their hands. And sadly, Brandon was staying with me. And he came home while I was still at the Soden House. He came home and he brought the belt buckle into my house. And that was a huge mistake for those of you who have a lot more experience than we had in that moment. Spirit can attach to an object, and then you bring that object into your house, and things can go really awry very quickly. So we had to cleanse the house very thoroughly and get the belt buckle off of the property. Um, and it was sold to somebody for $1, I think, if I recall correctly, to get rid of it. So yeah, things have followed us home. We always try. Hey, Black Onyx Cat, glad
What's
you're
going
here.
on?
Things have followed us home. We try and be really careful, give directives that nothing can follow us, stuff like that.
I want to answer this one if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a pointed question. Yes, and I'll give you a quick. This is in Steve Hodel's books. He describes it, and it's very disturbing. At least it was for me when I read it. Tamar's daughter Fauna. It was not her. It was the granddaughter. Was it not? That went to the hotel.
Fauna Elizabeth.
Fauna Elizabeth.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the names get a little strange.
George's. It was the granddaughter. Anyway, she apparently, according to her, woke up, went to a hotel with George Hodel, and woke up in a room, basically either in her underwear or naked, and in that she wasn't quite aware of what the hell happened, which was quite disturbing. And then there was another one where they were walking down the hallway of this particular hotel, and there was a pink flower pattern on the carpet. And it sounds like a familiar hotel here in LA, but I'm not quite sure. But this pink flower pattern, and she says that George looked down at the carpeting and took his foot and stomped on this flower pattern and looked at her and said, "What does that remind you of? What does that look like?" And she's like, I have no idea. And he said, "It's a vagina." Bam! And stomped on it, like with his full foot. And I was like, okay, that's disturbing as hell. So yeah, there are other stories.
Also, sadly,
there are.
Tamar continued on in George's fashion and was sexually abusing her sons and also trafficking them to other people. So in some aspects, George's curse continued. In others, with Steve's brothers, Love,
Peace and Joy.
Peace and Joy.
That's his brothers, nephews.
His nephews, Tamar's sons. They were the ones abused. However, they have overcome it.
Yes, they have.
And that entire side of the family,
strong people,
including Fauna's daughters, they are so strong and so resilient
and lovely
and so
lovely
wonderful.
People. Lovely people.
And I have to say that they've all overcome so much negativity.
Yeah.
And even his great granddaughters, and so many that George had 11 kids with 5 different women, so we only know a small portion of George's kids, but the ones that we do know, and their kids, I couldn't say enough nice things about them because the adversity that they've overcome, the adversities that Steve has overcome.
Yes.
And they all get together. There's a podcast called Root of Evil where the entire family is there and they get together and they talk about it. So if anybody's really interested in what happened in the aftermath to the family, it's really inspiring how they all overcame it and became really wonderful people. So there's that.
Lots of stories. If you read Steve's books, he tells all kinds of family details. The other one that really broke my heart was in the early 60s. He married a woman named Keo, who he met at a party with his mother, Dorero. And they were married for a number of years. They moved into a house up in the Hollywood Hills. And Keo was an astrologer to the stars. And Steve was working as a police officer, busting his butt. Keo was the one that talked him into becoming a police officer to make more money. And Steve left, and he came back and found Keo with another man. And on top of all that, George Hodel was coming down to town from either the Philippines, wherever he was living at that time, made a date with Steve to go to a hotel, and I think it was the Biltmore, and have lunch. Keo took 3 hours to get ready, and Steve couldn't understand. He's like, what the hell? You're meeting with my dad, and that's really nice, and thank you for looking lovely. Well, they get there, and Keo is at the bar. George Hodel walks in. Keo turns around and looks at George and goes, hello, George. It turns out that Keo and George had dated, and Keo was 15 years older than Steve ever thought. So, you know, Keo had dated his current wife. I mean, George had dated Keo, who was Steve's current wife. So the only reason Keo married Steve was to get back at George Hodel. This is like the kind of stuff that you can't write it in Hollywood, and it's heartbreaking. But Steve is such a strong, resilient, incredible man to overcome this kind of stuff, this kind of adversity, these kinds of stories. Just says a lot about his character. It says a lot about who he is as a person, and that's why we absolutely adore him. So there's that.
Just real quick to catch up anybody who was not here at the beginning, Krista. Yes, we have information about the bones coming up in a much later episode.
Yeah, you'll find out.
Much later episode. This is really interesting. The Hollywood tunnels, have they come into the stories? Yes, they do come into our stories. We start looking into them in episodes 4 and 5. And then Karen has done a ton of research on the Hollywood homes that have all the tunnels in them. And I'll let her go from there.
Well, not a whole lot to tell right now. You just got to wait for the episodes. But yeah, they do. And there's also another location where we found some tunnels that's going to come up in season 2. And I'm not going to tell you where or how, but Joe's nodding. He knows. John's nodding. He knows. Brandon, I know you know. So I'm not going to tell you, but boy, oh boy, hell, was that was an incredible sort of wackadoodle. One of those wackadoodle things that happens that leads to exactly where we needed to be.
Yeah, that was a real crazy day we had.
Yeah, it was.
In tonight's episode, we actually go into the tunnel system, and I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but we actually we touch the surface in this episode, and then we kind of go deeper and deeper and deeper, as if the tunnels. But yeah, that's coming up in tonight's episode. It starts.
I don't know how to say your name, Rydkulas. Next episode is tonight, and then after that, we're taking a week down. So 2 weeks for episode 4. We need a break, guys. Sorry. But next week
we don't need a break. I just need a break at editing because I got a little behind today because I'm trying to get this one out.
Natalie, yes, we got a whole season 2. We just finished filming, so stand by. Yes.
Australia, woo woo! God, I can't believe how far and wide you guys are.
No kidding.
I was talking to somebody from Ireland earlier. You heard about the tunnels. Yeah, they're a big thing here, and there's a lot to it.
Anybody want to add anything on the Investigator? John, what else? What can you tell us about? You know, you're so quiet and you're so humble, and I love you for that. But I want to hear about you a little bit. I want to hear about John Stevens. I really do. I want to know a little bit more about you, pal. Like seriously, like how do you deal with this crap? You've been doing this 20 years, man. So how do you deal with this stuff?
I just go with the flow, I guess. And now, like that, I have years of doing this. I realize that I have to cleanse myself every time I get done doing an investigation, no matter whether it's in California or if it's out with David somewhere in an insane asylum. I've definitely learned that it has to be done. When I came back from California, right away, I called my friend Desiree. She's a shamanic shapeshifter. She works with energy. She does Reiki. I said, hey, I need a full body energy cleansing. And she gave it to me. She did it.
She put you up on the rack and just changed your oil.
Yep.
The brakes, everything. Good deal.
I think that's really important, Joe. Maybe you can comment on this because I know that there's a lot of people that feel like, oh, I'm okay. I don't need to do this or do that. And you don't even know what's happening even as it's happening, and how important it is to keep your mind, body, and soul clear.
No, that's very true, especially the mind part of it. Because I think a lot of people, we go into most of the places we go into, someone's been murdered, right? Or like just some really bad stuff happened. So even if, let's just say it's not haunted, it's like swimming in like swamp water, like dirty water. So you have to remember that with energy, especially like that, it's not going to present itself like some Hollywood movie where all of a sudden your stuff is moving around, or like you're seeing shadows. Like it could, but the way it's really going to express itself is like it almost gets inside of you and you start to feel like depressed or off, or your temper is you're flying off the handle and you're like, why am I overreacting to things? Like it's a lot more insidious, and you really have to pay attention to what's going on internally with yourself, because that's where hauntings and attachments and stuff really start. Even if you don't have an attachment, again, you are just, we run around in these murder houses and in places where people may have been imprisoned or whatever else you'll see as the episodes, continue. So you really got to watch how it affects you, and not always look for like the obvious spiritual, like my window shades keep opening. Like it may not happen like that. You may end up getting into a fight with your significant other for days on end, and you're like, we never fight, what's going on? That's how these energies really express themselves. So definitely doing a cleanse like John did, even if you're not lucky enough to have a friend who's a shaman or you don't know where to find one. A good salt bath for a couple nights in a row, burn some rosemary or sage or cypress, or whatever, however you do that, Palo Santo, do that kind of stuff. And also whatever makes you feel good and mentally strong and healthy. Maybe you're a person who like loves to go on a run like Lisa or you love to cook, or like do the things that keep you mentally like strong and stable, because that also, even though it's not, let's say, mystical, it's very strong, it's very powerful. It's something that can keep those things from like seeping into your psyche. So it's super important to do that, even if you don't feel anything evil, because you never know what you're picking up on. And truthfully, like I have really, really good boundaries when we do this stuff. I don't have to do a ton to protect myself. It's just kind of like, I think my guides are, I don't know, maybe they're from New York too, so they don't play. But it's I don't do a lot, but I will say George definitely followed me home once, going back to someone asking if anything happened. I think it might have been, I guess it was right after Soden House. I had gotten home, and I still lived with my parents at the time. And I got home, my mom told me that the doorbell rang for no reason. And and the way the house they used to live in, my mom sat on the side of a couch, which was literally maybe 10 feet from the front door, and it was warm out. So she had the screen open so she could see if someone was, you had to walk up the stoop and press the doorbell. We had like an old fashioned doorbell. Like there was no way you were ding dong ditching this house if someone was sitting right there. Like it just was impossible. Right. And then Mom, fact check me here. She's in the comments somewhere. I think we heard like a loud bang as we were talking about it because I got home late from LA that night, and she was telling me about it, and I was telling her how I felt like he was like still kind of lingering. And then I think we heard a very loud bang and never figured out what it was. But then after that, it was gone. Like I had to talk to George, and I was like, listen, I talked to you for like 3 days. It's over. Like go back to LA where we are done. Which is another good tip, by the way, for anyone, who's experienced anything like this, is just talk to them like you would a living person. Tell them, like, set the boundary. You are not welcome in my space. I live here. You don't. I need my sleep. I'm alive. I have to go about my life. All those things really help. Yes, raise your vibration by doing things that make you happy. It's the best spiritual medicine, in my humble opinion.
And when we finish with the investigations, I feel like everybody has their own ritual to like set the boundaries for the spirits. Like, for episode 1, I remember everybody had their own way of saying, like, if there are any spirits here with me, you do not have permission to follow me home. Everybody had their version of that. And I remember distinctly talking to you, Joe, about me noticing that everybody's doing that and that I felt weird that I wasn't doing it. I felt like something was following me. And then you offered to smudge me at the Roosevelt Hotel. And I was like, what are you talking about? And that was, and then ever since episode 1, I do that. Anytime I feel like that I'm in a low vibration place, like I went to New Orleans not too long ago, and there are parts of New Orleans that have very, very dark energy. And I even had my family doing it. I was like, don't be weird about it. Just do it, please. This place
Don't
is
make a
really
fuss.
gives me the creeps.
New Orleans
I
gave
have-
me creeps big time.
I
when
have to
was
say, like, I used to not realize what it was. I called it the ick. And it's like it starts in your solar plexus, and it just felt like it was just like creeping out. But like Joe said, I would take salt baths and just burn a little compilation of stuffs that I have that really helps a lot. So, um,
when I worked homicide, we're talking. We worked. I was working 40, 50 a year. I mean, it was just insane. I would finish one and like go body to body. It was crazy. And it when you compile that and you compile the heaviness and the horribleness and what you're seeing and what you're dealing with and having to reconstruct crimes and deal with all that, it took a huge hit to my psyche. I thought I could handle it to a certain point, and I got to a certain homicide, and it slammed me. I mean, it just really, I broke down. I had a full on breakdown. I finished my job, and I would go to the pool and swim until I drowned. I would go to the gym and lift weights until I collapsed, and it worked for a while until it didn't. So now that we're going into these places, and I know what Elizabeth Short actually looked like in full color because I've seen it. I know what these people look like. I know what the crime scenes look like. I don't want to. It's in my head. So even with the spiritual stuff and everything else that I can't explain that happens, even with that stuck in my head, I have to purge that out too. I have to get that out in my way. And normally what I do is I get quiet. I think all these guys can probably testify that I get really quiet when I get really upset. I don't lash out. I don't do anything. I go inside myself and I have to process. I have to put it in my compartment and I have to deal with it. So that's how I've learned to do it.
Really quick, Misty, you asked how many episodes. There's 12 episodes in season 1. So that answers that. Let's see, what else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, absolutely. Kiora. Hello, Crystal. I can't believe
going
how
on?
far and wide.
It's amazing.
I know. We are so grateful for everybody that's here watching with us. What else we want to talk about? What else happened at Los Feliz?
Everything.
How about the bootlegging stuff? We got the bootlegging stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And also, some of them will be a season 2. Lots of episodes left. I think one thing to talk about is Karen finding blood after 57 years. 59 years.
I'm going to tout that until the day I
I
am.
And Sean, Kelvin running underneath the house without his shoes on. It was either that or all he had was flip-flops, and he was afraid he would lose the flip-flops and or ruin his other shoes.
You've done a follow-up on the houses since it's been a few years. I can tell you about the Los Feliz house. It's a blight on a hill. It is a blight on a hill. It is still a shell. It's been completely gutted. The entire basement's been dug out, and it's literally sitting there. Nobody can get permits. Nothing can happen. It's literally sitting there, and it's nothing. Zero. Zip zilch.
But
It's actually in more disrepair.
But I think this is a really interesting thing. During the episode, Kelvin Cruikshank said, I tried to tell the owner, if you love your wife, your life, everything that you've ever had, don't move into this house. Don't keep this house. And I think what's really interesting is at the time, you have to go back years, don't forget. Lisa Bloom owned that house when we investigated the second time, not the first time, the second time. And actually, they owned it both times. Now that I
Oh,
think
you're
about it.
right. They
Yeah,
did.
they
Didn't
owned it
they?
both
Just
times.
because you went to the auction.
Yeah,
That's right. Forgot about
that's
that.
how we got in. I had been looking for Rudy Enriquez for years as I was putting the show together, because I was so intrigued by the house of why the Enriquez family would buy it as is, crime scene intact, all the Perlson's furnishings, and then just not touch it for 50 years. And it was this literal time capsule. And about the time that I found him, he had just passed away. So he passed away without a will, so everything was going to go into probate for the third time with this house. And I waited and waited and waited, and finally the probate auction came up, and I went down to the courthouse, and Lisa Bloom and her husband were the winning bid. So I asked them if we can investigate, and they said yes, you can, but we're out of town until I think it was Saturday. We get back in town, we can let you guys in the house, and then demo begins on Monday. So we literally had, we were in 21 hours, I think, at the end of the time, because it was the last moments before this house was going to be gutted. So that's how we ended up in the house.
Hey, David.
Now, what's interesting is I think some of you guys have probably seen the Ghost Adventures episode where they went. Hey, David.
Sorry.
Ghost Adventures
Sorry to interrupt.
episode where that team went in after the house had been gutted. And what's interesting is that they couldn't get any movement on the house once they gutted it. They ran into all kinds of permit problems. The neighbors were complaining about stuff because the house wasn't stable anymore, things like that. So the most interesting thing about that is that Calvin's warning came through to them, because I don't know if you guys remember when the Harvey Weinstein Me Too movement started all those years back, before Epstein, before all the stuff that's happening now. And what happened is she and her mother, Gloria Allred, were victims advocates. That's who they fought for, were victims' rights advocates, and helping people through, these horrible situations that they get themselves into. Kiara. So what happened was, literally, she got busted for actually working for Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. She was his lawyer.
She was his lawyer.
Completely antithesis to what she had been touting her entire career.
And she was going to these victims and telling them, you need to drop the case, or you need to settle everything. Even her mother, Gloria Allred, said, yeah, I would have made different choices. And that afternoon, when that information came out, Lisa Bloom's career imploded. Now, I think she's probably fine at this point, but she's literally imploded.
It was bad time for a while.
Yeah, it was very bad. And it is so cool that there's so many Kiwis online. I can't believe it.
It's fantastic.
So those are some of the ramifications when you buy a place like this and you don't believe in spirit and you don't believe in having cleansings done.
Yeah.
I will say that they allowed us. Kelvin only closed one portal when we were there, because
somebody asked how the portals will close. It's Kelvin.
Yeah,
Kelvin took care of it.
We're going to show that in an upcoming episode. But he did close one of the portals. And he left the other one open because it was just too dangerous and the owners weren't believers. And he was like, why should I put myself at risk when they don't believe? So we did end up going back. You'll see it in the last 2 episodes of the season. And they allowed us to go in and close the second portal. A lot of you have asked if we help the victims, and you'll have to watch that episode to see some really incredigo stuff going on.
Yeah.
Lisa, I have a quick. Oh yeah, we'll talk about David first.
No, go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead. So Joe. I have a quick question. So did Kelvin also read the owners of the house?
No, he talked to he talked to him, but he did not do the reading. And that was the other thing. What Joe, I'm not even sure that you know this, but Braden was. Her husband was walking around saying, yeah, I don't really believe in this stuff.
I know, because I read him and he was such a pain in my ass. That's why I thought they got 2 readings. I was like, they got 2? I was like, he was so resistant.
he was so resistant and giving Joe a really hard time. What nobody knows is on the static cam in Debbie Pearlson's bedroom, he calls Lisa Bloom just blown away by Joe's reading, going, "You won't believe what he told me," validating so many things that you had told him in the reading.
Oh,
He
that's
was on
so.
the static cam on the phone and didn't know it.
That's so. Do
Yeah.
you know also that I told him they were never moving in that house, and he got so mad at me when I said that. He was
I bet.
pissed. He was like, "What do you mean? We're
A lot of
moving in
money.
at the end of the month." And I was like, "Honey, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're never getting in this house." That's
Oh, and one
crazy.
thing, Liz Sanchez, the Los Feliz house has not been completely demolished. I want to be really clear here. The last time we were there, it's still standing. It's just a shell. It's just down to the walls.
And I think, Brandon,
Literally.
you found out it's back in foreclosure again, right? With the current
Jesus
owner.
Christ.
Didn't you send me something right before we started shooting? I can't remember. I thought I saw that, and then I got lost in other stuff.
I don't think that was me. It could be Jesse. We get confused all the time.
For that. Team Casey. We are all Team Casey.
Absolutely.
Is asking, did you guys ever interview Elizabeth Short's family in Brentwood?
No.
I've never heard of this.
Me either. I
Do
thought
you
they were
know-
in Massachusetts.
Yeah, do you know for a fact that her family's in Brentwood? I'm very curious about this because this is the first we are ever hearing about it.
Yeah. I didn't know if anybody in her family would A, want to talk about it. It's still very painful, I'm sure. B, I didn't know if they would really have anything that would push an investigation forward. I would think that by now they would have given everything that they had to the police or other investigators. So I never really went down that path, but that's interesting.
Sean, this is Sean, this is a really, really interesting question because when I was initially editing all the Ghost Box replies in both, mostly the Soden house because they were so dark, I really made a point of making sure that energy was blocked back from, because I was told, even though you've left the location, you're still pulling information, right? You're still going through the Ghost Box sessions. You're still trying to pull that information from the houses. And so I did a lot of work to keep that in the screen, so to speak, as crazy as it sounds. And I constantly burned a lot of
Palo Santos,
Palo Santos, Dragon's Blood, all kinds of stuff to keep the energy that's in the house clean, so to speak. And there were times where things got a little nasty, but you're right. It's a really good and valid point because you are still pulling that energy back. Now, what I will tell you guys is that we bless these episodes before we put them out to make sure that nothing bad happens to anybody watching them. So I hope that answers.
I'll also say too, just to answer that question in another way. I don't think watching that stuff as an outsider really is going to affect you in that way, to be completely honest. I think for us, especially Lisa, you going through all the raw footage, we're so connected to these energies, these houses. We've been there, we investigated, we've told people stories. George knows who we all are. We've all had him around us at one point or another, on set and off of set. So I think it'll affect you if you're much more involved on a personal level. But if you're just kind of, casually watching at home, I don't think you have to worry about somebody showing up or anything like that. But it is good to bless the episodes. I didn't know you guys did that. That's a good, nice touch.
David, what's going on, pal? We got a few more minutes. How you been?
Good. Doing good. Just wanted to pop in while I could.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you made it. It's been a long few days since you got home and Christmas and everything else. So.
Yeah, I've been a little crazy. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Hey, Gemma, just to answer your question, yes, we will be doing a live chat about Lockie's case. Lachlan Jones, for those of you who don't know, is a sweet little boy in New Zealand whose case Kelvin Cruikshank and Karen Smith did a lot of work on to get back into a coroner's inquest because they believe that his form of death was not accidental drowning. While Casey was here, we actually filmed an episode to do. It's not part of the Voices from the Grave, but it is a special episode that we're planning on doing.
At the end of the season,
Towards the end of the season. And I think it's going to be eye-opening for everybody in New Zealand. The information that we're about to come out. Justice for Lockie. Hell yes. Justice for Lockie.
So yeah, anybody got anything? It's like 5:50. Give everybody a pee break and get a little cup of coffee before the episode.
We got about 5 minutes. Anybody else have anything they want to get out or?
Questions. Thank you. You're
welcome.
welcome.
The Boy in the Water podcast. Yes,
right.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you,
you want a little bit of background on this, there's a podcast called The Boy in the Water. I think there's up to 4 seasons now.
That's three seasons. Delve, The Boy in the Water.
Delve. And it's heartbreaking, but you'll get to hear Karen.
It's maddening.
Yeah.
It's infuriating is what it is.
Infuriating, heartbreaking. What happened to the daughter at the Los Feliz house? Okay, Judy Pearlson. She is still alive. Out of respect to her and her wishes, she wants absolutely nothing to do with this, and it's understandable. I did approach them when we initially went there, because for me, understanding the spiritual side of things, I would want some closure with my father and my mother. And I wanted to offer that to them. It wasn't so much about anything more than, my opinion is mediums can bring so much healing to people. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in them, call them false, this and that. And my bottom line is, even if you think they're fake, the amount of healing that happens from a medium giving you a reading in an hour, it is years of psychiatric work that could never solve it, because they're telling you things that nobody could possibly know. And I think that I wanted to give them that opportunity, but she did not want any part of it, and I 100% respect that.
Yeah.
And
traumatic, horrible.
Yeah,
horrible. Oh my God.
I can't even imagine.
No. Any forensic testing on the bones? Libby Reed, yeah. Stay tuned. Later episode, we'll go through all that. Yes. Just stay tuned.
Root of Evil, yep.
Yep.
So listen, guys, we cannot thank you enough for tuning in tonight. We'll be with you during the premiere. We'll be commenting along with you. And again, next week, no new episode of Voices from the Grave, but there will be a live chat with Steve Hodel, which I think you're all going to find very interesting.
He got a lot to say right now.
He got a lot to say. And thank you all. Thank you, God, from all over the globe.
Amazing.
We cannot thank you guys enough.
You guys are the OGs.
Dark Chaos, thank you for everything. And we'll see you on the episode in just a few minutes. Thanks, you guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Later.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.